Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Day 166 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Russians are considering holding a referendum in the Donbass region. According to President Volodymyr Zelensky, such a move will make peace negotiations impossible. Meanwhile, the United Nations Secretary General has emphasized that the situation in Ukraine is unstable. During his visit to Tokyo, Antonio Guterres referred to the Russian attack on the nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia and stated that the world was on the brink of extinction. Yesterday, attacks in the Donbass, north of the city of Donetsk, intensified, and other places in the oblast came under fire. The Russians are storming the cities of Avdiivka, Pisky, Marinka and Bakhmut, relying on the positions taken recently in the Novoluhansky region and the Volhyrian thermal power plant. Despite numerous attacks, the Ukrainian forces still prevent the aggressors from occupying those territories. Our army is doing everything possible to stop the Russian terror and inflict the greatest losses on the occupiers. The areas where the most intense fighting takes place are in the Donetsk Oblast, and this region absorbs most of our attention. Unfortunately, there are many victims. The situation is also difficult in the Kharkiv region, in the south of the country, where the occupiers are trying to concentrate their forces. Ukrainian forces detected and neutralized Russian subversive and reconnaissance groups in the area of Bakhmut and the nearby towns in the Donetsk region. In the line of contact near Kharkiv, Russian artillery is destroying other civilian and military targets. The enemy conducts reconnaissance activities, not sparing their people. The enemy's reconnaissance groups have been detected and neutralized in the area of the villages of Bakhmutska, Bakhmut, Yakovlivka. The enemy failed to achieve its goal and withdrew, but continued shelling military and civilian infrastructure. During the Russian invasion of Ukraine, numerous war crimes have been investigated by the Prosecutor's Office of Ukraine. The subject of the investigations are violations of the laws and customs of war.
This almost 26,000.
We have now identified nearly 26,000 war crimes. So far, we have managed to bring 135 charges. Cases are pending and applications have been sent to the court.
We charge them.
In the opinion of Amnesty International, the assessment of the events in Ukraine is ambiguous, and some crimes may also be blamed on the Ukrainian side. According to the authorities in Kiev, the report is scandalous because it equates Russian war crimes and the struggle for the survival of the Ukrainian nation, creating harmful conclusions. Amnesty International's priority in this and any other conflict is to protect civilians. This was the sole purpose of our last report. While we fully uphold our theses, we regret the pain they cause. In response to the controversial report by Amnesty International, thousands of critical entries appeared on the web. Their authors are often people who survived the hell of the Russian attack. This is my home in Mariupol, and this is a Russian tank. But it doesn't matter. After all, Russia has ruined every building in the city by aerial fire, no matter that it was a school, a residence, or a cafe. Saturday's shelling of the Enerhoatom power plant in Zaporizhia is a threat to the international community. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres warns that there is a high risk of nuclear holocaust. The Secretary's visit is related to the anniversary of the first nuclear attack in history.
The denuclearization, full denuclearization, verifiable and irreversible of the Korean Peninsula remains a major objective, together with the success of the JCPOA.
There is no country in the world that can feel safe today when a terrorist state shoots at a nuclear power. What is needed now is a decisive response from the international community to these Russian attacks. 2 more ships carrying Ukrainian soybeans and corn set sail on Monday from the port of Pivden. Kiev and Moscow, mediated by Turkey and the United Nations, reached an agreement in July to unblock their Black Sea ports. The information about the resumption of exports was received with relief by Pope Francis, who said that without Ukrainian grain, many countries would face famine. I am glad that the first ships loaded with grain leave Ukrainian ports. This step shows that the dialogue works and helps to achieve success. This event is a sign of hope, and I hope that through negotiation we will end the struggles and achieve lasting peace. Yesterday, a march for the dignity of Belarusian political refugees was held in Warsaw. The event took place on the second anniversary of the rigged presidential elections by the regime of Alexander Lukashenko. The participants of the March of Dignity walked through the streets of Warsaw, carrying not only the flags of free Belarus, in an interview for the legal newspaper, the first president of the Supreme Court, Małgorzata Manonowska, claims that she has already done everything she could to meet the requirements of the European Commission and does not understand why, despite the liquidation of the judicial disciplinary chamber, the fine of €1 million a day is still being imposed. In turn, the President of Law and Justice said that Poland had made big compromises, but apparently this is not the point.
According to the first president of the Supreme Court, the European Commission is guided only by political considerations. Following Ursula von der Leyen's recent statements, I have the impression that this is not about any rule of law. Please show me at least one country where it is possible to challenge the appointment of judges. This does not belong to the domain of either the Supreme Court or common courts. In mid-July, the head of the European Commission said that the law reforming the Supreme Court did not guarantee judges the possibility of challenging the status of another judge without the risk that they would be held liable for disciplinary action. This issue needs to be addressed in order to meet the conditions for the allocation of National Reconstruction Plan money and allow the Commission to trigger the first payment. In turn, the president of Law and Justice, Jarosław Kaczyński, said that the Polish government has shown concessions and reformed the disciplinary system. However, the other side, the European Commission, broke the agreement and continues to block the funds. If I had known they would give us the main funds, I would have taken a different approach, but I am convinced that by wanting to break Poland and force it to full submission to Germany, they will also block these funds. They will find new excuses. Dariusz Wieczorek, MP of the Left, believes that Poland should immediately comply with the judgments of the Court of Justice of the European Union. Currently, the fine imposed by the European Court amounts to over 250 million zloty. I'm surprised it takes so long. Let me remind you that we are discussing this now, and we are losing another €1 million from our taxes, because I would like to remind you that the penalty is 1 million a day for not having the rule of law in Poland. Deputy Minister of Justice Marcin Romanowski emphasizes that the European Commission has long been not about the alleged lack of the rule of law, but about the change of power in Poland. A brazen political action aimed at removing the United Right from power and appointing their own governor in the form of Donald Tusk, civic platform with adjuncts. The Secretary General of Law and Justice, Krzysztof Sobolewski, said that projects under the National Reconstruction Plan are not endangered because the government finances them in the first place. The negotiated amount is almost 160 billion zloty. Sobolewski announced that steps will be taken to obtain the funds, although there is no question of suspending the membership fee. We will use all possible solutions within the framework of the treaties, the possibilities offered by the European treaties. There is no trace of the disciplinary chamber in the Supreme Court. Its liquidation was one of the conditions for unlocking the funds for Poland. The law reforming the disciplinary system entered into force on July 15th. In its place, the Chamber of Professional Responsibility was established. The judges adjudicating in the chamber have retired or moved to other chambers of the Supreme Court. This chamber took over all the cases of the disciplinary chamber. Moreover, it will have cases from the penal chamber. For years, Poland has been achieving very good results in the fair spending of European funds. On the other hand, the states of the old European Union have problems with embezzlement. Professor Waldemar Gontarski points out that it was the European Commission that broke the law by blocking the advance payment from the reconstruction plan a year ago. The European Commission issues the worst possible testimony. After February 24th, the blocking of funds for Poland means that the Commission becomes Putin's ally. This is a never-ending story, and we should veto at some point. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. in the Supreme Court, there will be a draw from among 33 candidates for membership of the Chamber of Professional Responsibility. From among them, the president will elect 11 judges for a 5-year term.
The unprecedented exercises by the People's Republic of China armed forces, which have been taking place since Thursday in the Taiwan Strait, are expected to end. The manoeuvres began shortly after a visit to Taiwan by the United States congressional delegation headed by the House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi's unannounced arrival in Taiwan triggered an extremely negative reaction from the Beijing authorities. China's position is legitimate, reasonable. Our measures are firm, forceful and appropriate. China's military exercises are open, transparent and professional, in line with domestic law, international law and international practice. We aim to warn the perpetrators and punish the Taiwan Independence Forces and firmly safeguard China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Taiwan is China's territory. China conducts normal military exercises in our own waters. It is open, transparent and professional. Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan last week infuriated China, which regards the self-ruling island as its own and responded with test launches of ballistic missiles over Taipei for the first time, as well as ditching some areas of dialogue with Washington. I think that Pelosi's visit is kind of like a political show because she's going to retire very soon from the position of House Speaker. So it's like a graduation trip from her political career. We hope that Taiwan's profile can be raised globally and people here hope that she can help us. But unexpectedly, it sparked a conflict accidentally now, and it's not a good thing for Taiwan. Taipei residents say that they feel confident about the island's defence as China announced fresh military drills around Taiwan, while Shanghai residents thought the drills were an appropriate response to the visit of the United States House of Representatives Speaker last week. I think there are pros and cons to Pelosi's visit. The negative side of this is it is more complicated to export goods to China now, and the positive side is that we gain more recognition from other countries worldwide. China's military announced new military deals on Monday in the seas and airspace around Taiwan, a day after the scheduled end of its largest ever exercises to protest against Pelosi's visit to Taipei last week. The duration and precise location of the latest drills is not yet known, but Taiwan has already eased flight restrictions near the 6 earlier Chinese exercise areas surrounding the island. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.